Welcome back to the OK Not OK podcast. I am Dr. OK, and this is our monthly segment after each PLE where we determine who should be next for each of the WWE main roster titles. And since we had a delayed Who's Next last time, we're going to get to fly through a few of these titles and just go right to some of the ones that actually have some new contenders. But that gives us an extra moment to note that who's next in the political world is Donald Trump, as he has quickly won the presidency, becoming the first two-time champion since Grover Cleveland won the presidencies in 1884 and 1892 to become the 22nd and 24th presidents, while Trump will now become the 45th and 47th presidents. And he was able to knock down the blue wall, which is sort of ironic considering that he is much known for wanting to build a wall. However, it didn't take much for him to fly by those 270 electoral votes when many thought that this could drag on for several days. However, since dropping the title in 2020 to Joe Biden, when Biden decided not to have a rematch this year and left the title vacant for a new challenger in Kamala Harris, many thought that this would be a new injection of life on the Democratic side, but Trump said no and hit a devastating spear to all of Democrats' hopes, just like Bobby Lashley did when he defeated Umaga in the Battle of the Billionaires at WrestleMania 23, so that Lashley and Trump got to shave the former chairman's head. And along with that victory, Trump also hosted WrestleManias 4 and 5, and therefore he became a WWE Hall of Famer in the celebrity wing, and making him now the first WWE Hall of Famer to not once, but twice be the President of the United States. And Trump goes to 2-1 in championship matches using a different vice president to help for each victory, while the current vice president, Kamala Harris, falls to 1-1 in her title matches. On top of taking the title, Trump also becomes the People's Champion, winning the popular vote for the Republicans for the first time in 5 matches since George W. Bush in 2004. So for anyone that voted for him, congratulations. But for anyone that didn't, we have to say, just keep trying and voting. That's the way we're gonna go with this. Just keep trying and voting. So with that, let's go to our normally scheduled program of Who's Next. And so we will start with Monday Night Raw, where we're gonna get to skip 3 different titles this time because we already know who the #1 contenders will be. So first, for the World Heavyweight Championship, Damian Priest is your new #1 contender as he won the Fatal 4-Way on this week's Monday Night Raw. And even if he hadn't won this one, he was already our #1 contender, and it's hard to argue him staying there because he has now won 5 out of his last 6 singles matches since losing the title at SummerSlam. Next, for the Women's World Championship, we have Io Sky as your new #1 contender as she won a #1 contenders match in a Battle Royal this week on Monday Night Raw. And it would be hard to say that she doesn't deserve that anyways, as she has won all 6 of her singles matches since June, including 3 multi-person singles matches. And third, the World Tag Team Championships also have a #1 contender with the War Raiders, winning all 3 of their matches since they returned, including winning the Tag Team Championship #1 contender tournament. So with all 3 of those, there is no doubt who the #1 contender is, so we will forego our usual slides. But for the Intercontinental Championship, we have a new champion since our last Who's Next, and that is indeed the former champion, Braun Breaker, when he defeated Jey Uso. But with Jey having won 7 straight singles matches before losing to Breaker, he obviously deserves another shot at the IC title in a rematch where these two might just keep going back and forth. However, it seems like he's a little bit preoccupied with some bloodline business right now, so maybe he will forego that opportunity. So if not him, number 2 should be Sheamus. And yeah, he got a chance at the number 1 contender fatal 4-way for the World Heavyweight Championship, but he probably should stick to the IC title, and he certainly deserves a shot, having won 4 of his last 5 one-on-one matches. And up third will be a surprising one with Dragon Lee. And he only has a 3-4 record in one-on-one matches so far in 2024. But if you take away the 2 champions, Gunther and Breakker, only Sheamus and CM Punk can claim that they have won 2 straight one-on-one matches. And so with Sheamus just above Dragon Lee, and I don't think CM Punk's going to be coming for the IC title anytime soon, Dragon Lee is going to get that 3rd spot. And who shouldn't be a contender for the IC title? Well, it's Ludwig Kaiser. And if Gunther is telling him that he needs to do better, well, I'm not going to argue it, because he is in fact 0-5 in all one-on-one matches since returning from his injury, and 0-7 in all matches. So he should be nowhere close to fighting for the IC title. Now let's switch on over to SmackDown, where we have a similar story, but just done at a slightly different angle. So let's just get it started off with the Undisputed WWE Championship, which of course Cody Rhodes did not defend because he was taking on Gunther at Crown Jewel. But unbelievably, we had 0 singles matches that went to a decision in the last 3 SmackDowns since our last show, so it is basically impossible for us to come up with a new list here. And the only singles match at all that there was on SmackDown was Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes in Game 7, which of course was a no decision when LA Knight decided to BFT both men. And then of course we also had Orton versus Owens at Crown Jewel, but again, that match never even got started, so that leaves us with 0 matches. So for now, we've got the exact same list as last time, so there's the slide. We didn't even change it at all, with Orton, Escobar, Owens as our 3 choices, and AJ Styles, of course, is not anywhere close to fighting for that title. Then for the WWE Women's Championship, of course, Nia Jax didn't have to defend that title either, as she fought Liv Morgan at Crown Jewel. But we actually had some women's singles matches. In fact, 4 of them were on SmackDown. However, very surprisingly, 3 of those 4 were won by Raw and NXT women superstars. Yeah. Only Naomi picked up a singles win against Candice LeRae in the last 3 weeks, while Io Sky and Liv Morgan got wins from Raw, and Lash Legend from NXT got the 4th win. So again, there's just nothing to update here on this new slide, so we just have to have the same 4 people listed, though we did slightly update the records for Naomi for getting a win and for Tiffy for getting a loss. And then that also leads us to the United States Championship, where LA Knight did indeed defeat both Hayes and Andrade at Crown Jewel. But as we said, only Hayes and Andrade even had a match on SmackDown in their Game 7, but it went to a no contest with Knight's interference as the special guest referee. So let's just see them have another Game 7, take 2, and see who will actually deserve to be the true number 1 contender to get another shot at LA Knight. Well, that leaves us with just 1 SmackDown title remaining, and that is the WWE Tag Team Championships, which indeed have a new champion since our last show, which is the Motor City Machine Guns, very impressively winning 3 matches in 2 weeks to become the new champs. But of course, it's the old champs, Tonga and Loa of the Bloodline, who have certainly some complaint to be filed, because Jimmy Uso, then Roman Reigns, and then Jey Uso interfered in that match that very likely cost them the championship. So with a 3-1 overall record in all tags, Tonga and Loa certainly deserve a rematch to try to regain those titles. Well, if not them dropping one spot from last time, it's Los Garza. Sure, they got a chance in a qualifying match, but that was not even a traditional tag, so they remain over 500 at 4-3 in traditional tags and on a 2-match winning streak. So they've got to get another shot at number 2. And third, well, you just can't quite kill them off. It's the Street Profits. They have failed over and over, losing in title matches, but amazingly enough, they still have won 4 out of their last 5 traditional tags. So it's hard to truly knock them out of this list. So maybe just one more win might vault them right back to being the number 1 contender. But who doesn't deserve to be a contender? Well, it's A-Town Down Under yet again. They invited the MCMG to the Waller effect for this Friday's SmackDown, so I have a feeling they're going to try to weasel themselves into a title match, but they absolutely do not deserve it, having lost 7 of their last 8 tag team matches. So no matter what, MCMG, just stay away from granting A-Town Down Under a shot. And lastly, that takes us to the Women's Tag Team Championships, and Jade and Bianca completely delivered a knockout blow to 3 tag teams here at Crown Jewel, winning their Fatal 4-Way and eliminating any kind of doubt that they can win any type of tag match, as losing the triple threat to the Unholy Union was the only blemish on their record. So with that said, who needs to step up to be the number 1 contender? Well, I guess for this division, laying idle sometimes can be the best way to go about things, as it again is Pure Fusion Collective's Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, who remain on top of this list at 8-4 in all traditional tags, and that is just way better than anyone else. So even though they haven't won a match since August, there's no way else to go but to leave them at number 1. And number 2, jumping into this conversation, I think for the first time, it is Bayley and Naomi, who probably don't even consider themselves to be a true tag team, but they are the only women's tag team with 2 wins since September 20th, when those 2 won their first tag team match. And they are 2-1 in that time and 2-2 overall. But 2-1 in the last month and a half is good enough to find their way into the number 2 spot. And at number 3, well, they had to drop a spot here, but we're going to have to leave Damage Control's Io Sky and Kairi Sane on this list, as at least they've been trying, though they have been so unsuccessful that they have the same number of title match losses as they have overall tag wins at 3. But they're still 3-2-1 in traditional tags, so that's still a lot better than any other tag team that we could come up with here. And lastly, who shouldn't get a shot? Well, it was a good run for the Meta Girls of Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, but they did have 2 title chances in the last month and went 0-2 in them, so unfortunately it's time to ship them right back down to NXT to try to get some more seasoning before they can earn a main roster shot yet again. So there's who we think should be next for all of the WWE Championships, but who does the WWE think should be the next number 1 contenders, for those ones that haven't already been determined at least? Well, I guess we'll just have to watch and find out as we head into Survivor Series War Games. But if you want to be who's next in asking the next question of the week, make sure to check out this video right here for this week's installment, where I answered all about what they should do with Liv Morgan. But if you fail to do that, you would certainly be not okay.